Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry-standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, IZOTOPE.com. Welcome to Hyphenate Halftime. It's me, your host, Randy Randall. With me, as always, on this Monday, June the 16th, is my ever dependable top 8 best friend on MySpace, Mr. Aaron Farley.
Yes, I made it. I used to be 9. I was up until last week. I was number 9.
You're in the top 8.
Finally made the top 8.
When it was only the top 5, it was going to be tough. But since they expanded to 8,
Families are getting bigger.
The only time I remember MySpace as a thing, because I'm old, or we are old enough and young enough. It's a sweet spot. If you're so old, our parents didn't know anything about MySpace. But if you were so young, you weren't there either. So you had a sweet spot for MySpace. But I would check it at the break room at Amoeba Records. When I would have like a 15-minute break, you could go in, use the bathroom and then get there's a Coke out of Coke machine there, or whatever, snacks they had. And I remember waiting behind Jimmy Hay, who was in a million great bands, Beachwood Sparks and AM radio. Anyway, I'd wait for Jimmy Hay to be done checking his MySpace, and then I would go on and check MySpace after him.
That's
because
amazing.
We didn't have the phones. We didn't have, there was no mobile MySpace device.
Well, and was it
Friendster?
Friendster was first.
Okay, maybe it was Friendster.
And then MySpace was like the cool one.
That was the one you had the top 8?
Friendster is kind of lame.
Top 8 was MySpace. Okay, yeah.
And then MySpace came around, and then, but then the Facebook was after MySpace, right? Like that.
It must have been. Yeah.
Because MySpace had kind of cool, quote unquote, cool design. Like you could make the whole back of your thing, like you could choose the design of your page, and
right. And when you went on the person's page, it would automatically play a song. It would start a page. Yeah.
And it was a way of all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, we can kind of hear music that isn't, because even before that, digital music was Apple. You could buy songs off iTunes, right, and download them. Yes.
Right.
By that point, but there weren't streaming. You couldn't stream anything yet. So that was a way of being able to kind of stream things on people's pages and stuff.
Yeah. But this is me working at a brick and mortar, record and movie store for retail, so, and I'd have to take a break and go check social media on the one computer in the building. Was it for No Age? Were you checking? No, we didn't have No Age yet. That would have been Wives at that point. Maybe, probably.
Were you guys booking
Dean was pretty good at that.
Fans I think he could book on MySpace.
I think he could book a tour on MySpace, or reach out to people in different towns. And because there was other weirder things like Makeout Club, or other kind of emo whatever, early aughts, kind of message boards.
Wow, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Counted for something. I was not as cool as all that. Or I just didn't trust the online world of it all. I just was like, I don't know.
I couldn't keep it together. I think I'm really coming to the conclusion that I have pretty major ADHD. Like when I hear someone go down the list of the 10 things, and you're like, wait, do we? Okay, so what if we're all? So if we're all of those things,
yeah,
and we always have been our whole lives, okay. But then in true ADHD fashion, I'd be like, you know what? I should get this checked out. And I've been saying that for 5 years. I'm like, well, but what, you know, like then what? Okay, so if I do that, then then I have to deal with the other whatever happens,
insurance.
But then also, what if I don't have it? Then I'm just like super screwed up, and then. But I'm fine, right?
I don't want to do Ritalin.
I'm okay.
I'm in my
50s.
Rent. I'm in my 50s. I can't be doing Ritalin now, right?
Yeah, I can pay like, what are they going to put me on? And then I'm going to have like a bad reaction. Then I'm going to have to take time off work to figure out that kind of stuff. And then,
but there's a squirrel outside, you know what I mean? And then I got to paint my bike. Yeah. And then, you know, there's a bill that came in a couple of days ago. I probably should look at that. And I haven't taken a shower in a couple of days. Maybe mangoes. You know what I'm going to start eating mangoes. That's going to be the thing. I'll just say I'll eat mangoes.
I'm going to put it on the list. Oh, you know what? This is what I'll do. I'm going to put it on the list, and I'm going to come back to it when I'm done.
Everything else.
Scraping the paint off the side of the garage, which I was supposed to do 2 months ago. Yes. But you know what? Since I now have something important to do, now I will find the 5 things that are completely useless that seem more fun, and I'm going to do those 5 things. Like, you know what I should do is go in and take all of the screws and dump them out.
Oh,
and I'm going to go to the store and get 25 plastic bins, little ones, and then I'm going to spend all week just organizing screws. And then I'll figure out this ADHD thing. But right now, this is really important.
This has to happen.
This has to happen because how am I supposed to think about ADHD when I can't walk through the garage because I can't figure out how to organize it? Because there's 400 ways I could organize this.
Piles do you need?
And I've gone through 20 of them already, and none of them have worked. So I've got to just keep going on this organizing thing.
It's hilarious. I always knew, excuse me. I always knew I was in trouble, like where I must really not want to do something once my closets got cleaned. Like having to write a paper in school was the best way for me to clean out my closet.
Totally.
You know, I was like, oh, I really don't want to write this paper. So then my place is going to look like I'm going to vacuum. Everything's going to be dusted and polished. And then it's like, okay, now I can write the paper. I couldn't really write the paper till
that's when my studio gets clean too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I must have something really important coming up.
Something I really don't want to do. You're talking about ADHD. It was funny. I was joking with Shan with my wife the other day because it's like, she really likes coffee. I'm okay with coffee. Coffee's great. Coffee's fine. If I didn't have a cup of coffee, I'd be fine. But she's like, has the coffee go off on the alarm. You know, it's like when it's there, it's brewed when she wakes up, and you can't really talk to her before the coffee kind of thing. But we were talking, and I don't know, I was eating breakfast, or I was making something for the kids, I was doing something in the morning, and she's like, you haven't had any coffee yet, huh? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll have some later. But here's what I was thinking. I had this dream, and then I was going to do this, and then today I'm going to take the kids and do this. She's like, oh my God. And then so I think she was calling. I just gonna wake up with energy. I was like, I was definitely that. I've always been that kind of person, you know, just have the right away to have all the energy. But I think the coffee is almost like a Ritalin, where it's like I can focus. If I drink like it was not just like a cup of coffee. It's like I get like the big tumbler, like the big giant to go thing, and it's like 8 shots of espresso with a lot of milk and sugar.
You just drink it all morning,
and then I drink that, and then I focus, and then it's like almost like ramps like that Ritalin kind of idea.
Yeah,
like speed is good. It kind of helps me, like, you know, just focus on one thing and not jump around. So I don't know, that might be ADHD-esque type behavior.
I think that makes sense. I think nicotine is the same.
Ooh,
the same
you have
thing.
Any nicotine?
It's like
we should go smoke. You want to go have a cigarette? Sounds great. Let's go.
No, I had to stop that years ago. Turns out I liked it way too much.
Hearing somebody bring it up, like walking by somebody in public, like, ooh, what's that? Hell, hold on.
Well, haven't you? Speaking of bro podcasts, not that we were, but that we do every once in a while. That have you noticed that they definitely, since this whole RFK, like, guess what? You know what? Our medical system is so screwed. So what we're going to do is we're going to have all of these people that have wacky ideas, and I think they're the real ideas, right? So then all these advertisements on, like, I don't know, AG1, Rick Rubin's podcast and whatever, and all these people, you know, it's diet pills, and it's workout, like nothing that
Special
has gone through the FDA ever, or all of the things that just go up to the line of like what you have to say to not go through the FDA. And, and of course everything works way better than, don't believe those traditional doctors. I mean, you don't need any x-ray. You don't need any of that stuff, because what you really need is a plant medicine, from some plant that was from Brazil. That
sounds good. I'll buy. How much? As a subscription model? Can I give you $40 a month for it? Okay. Perfect.
It's only like $150 for the first month, but that's how, just to get started.
That's great.
No, but the new thing that's been popping up, and all of a sudden it's like popped up everywhere, is it is called, what do they call it? Medical grade nicotine.
The fuck
is
that?
Like medical grade nicotine. Okay.
Like stronger nicotine? Is that the
no? But it's
the problem?
Like, it's like you don't want that kind of. This is clean nicotine. This is you don't want any of that like tobacco. Like, this is not going to go through. You don't want any of those horrible
additives
parts,
and the pesticides.
Just the great, amazing nicotine. And you're like, really?
Is that like a gum or something?
Like the super addictive part?
Yeah.
Like you just want the really addictive part. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's the other part that gives you cancer, I guess. I don't know. But there's been this whole like, don't worry, we're like, it's like a microdose of nicotine, like smoking or vaping. So is this because vaping is now, like, they were using the nicotine for vaping, and they're like, people aren't loving vaping anymore. We're going to find out another way. Yeah, and I think it's like,
another nicotine,
I don't know, gum. But then you're just like, you already have like Nicorette, and you have the patch, and you have all those other things. But now this is like this is clean nicotine. So it's like, this is healthy. It's so good for
I don't know. I did not have that on my Apocalypse bingo card. Clean nicotine.
God. But all of these things, I'm like, all right, what's next? They're going to come out with the like alcohol that is, or like,
higher
cocaine.
Percentage alcohol. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
Methamphetamine.
You clean your house. Clean meth.
Man, I'll tell you this. I have a lot of energy. I also bit through my chain link fence the other day, but that's fine.
Most of my teeth are falling out. It's great. I got a couple scabs on my face. No big deal. But I'm
Who
skinny.
Needs pliers?
You don't need Ozempic when you have meth.
This is true.
Yeah, there was one of those like dick pill like late night infomercial things.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day. And I remember Dean and I would always laugh about it on tour, because it was just the one guy, like, because they could never say what it did, but it did something for you down there.
Yeah.
And there was like one guy, and it's all like, like out of work actors, or like, starving actors.
Yeah. Get
these infomercial jobs. And the one guy was just like, I don't know. What can I say? It makes my Jimmy thicker. It was like, is that an official medical claim? It makes your Jimmy thicker. Like whenever you don't know if you could say the science behind something, we'd always say, like, if something looks suspicious or kind of like, that's not right, that probably makes your Jimmy thicker. You always have that, right?
I want to say the list of other options that didn't make it. Like the top, like I need 10. Hey Carol, write us 10 one-liners for this last
about growing the size of your dick with this pill. We're gonna sell at 3 a.m. in the morning for a half hour. Like, we need to talk for half an hour about making your dick bigger without ever saying the words "it makes your dick bigger." Like, what are all the euphemisms you could come up with?
And then they had to go through the lawyers, send it to legal.
Make sure, nothing. Make sure we don't actually promise anything that does anything right.
Can we say thicker?
The Jimmy? Can we say
you cannot say bigger?
You can't say penis your penis will be thicker, but if it's some other bygone term for the word penis that no one actually
give me 10 words
anymore.
For penis.
Yeah. Can it elongate your wang? Okay, maybe we can elongate the wang. Okay, that's fine. You can say that.
Wang is too popular in the 80s. That'll never work. Let's go. What's a new one?
Oh my God. So yeah, this is a good improv. This would be a good improv conceit. Everybody on stage, like, it's the infomercial about making your dick bigger without using the words that. You can't say that.
Well, I always thought, I remember like joking around in college and being like, trying to think of advertising for when weed becomes legal.
Oh, well,
like, what are the ads going to look like? And it would be, like, you would have an ad for an Apple company, like physical apples, and it would be like someone coring out the apple to smoke weed out of it or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the other day this ad comes up on Instagram, and it's for some kind of bong, but it looks like a workout. It's like a workout ad, and I'm like, what is this weird water bottle? She's like jogging or whatever. It's got this water bottle, and then all of a sudden these bubbles start coming up, and then you just see smoke come out of the side.
It's like it's like a Stanley Cup bong.
Totally,
like a bong in the shape of a
or something. But it was clear, and it was just some kind of. And I was like, oh my god, wait, this is an ad for a bong company, but they're pitching it like it's a workout equipment. Like it's a workout thing, and it looks like just like a water bottle thing that you would buy at Walmart or Target or something, and it looks like a Target ad.
Did you ever see those? Did you ever see those ceramic apples that like you could like smoke out of? No. Like you could like put the weed on the top of it, and then it was like someone, like threw like an apple thing, but like put the holes in it all, and then with the chamber, and then so you could do that. I do remember Wendy sold those at oh god, what is it? Ooga Booga. That
oh really?
Tea. I think they sold them for a while.
Are they ceramic or something?
Mm-hmm. They were ceramic and had a glaze on it. It looked like an apple, like a porcelain apple kind of thing. Like you just put on your thing, but you could smoke your weed out of there.
I just remember in high school in ceramics class, every single kid trying to make a pipe. Even the kids that didn't smoke weed. Like even thinking back at that time, I'm like, how many of those kids actually smoked pot? Like in the 90s? It was pretty hard to get drugs. I mean, it was like that, way harder than now for people that are like, oh no, it just comes to my door or whatever, even before it was legal. But I do remember there was a rule. I don't remember what it was, but there was a way for the teacher to check of like, okay, there can't be any kind of airway that goes through your piece. That was like, it's like no airways or something.
There was something, the anti-airway stance. That was the polite terminology they had to use.
Yeah. But then there was the way that the kids would would do it, and then they would put like a really thin ceramic plug in there so then they could like go and knock it out afterwards. I'm like, this is hilarious. A lot. You should probably just go to the head shop and buy
again. It. Yeah. So ingenious. All of the things. Yeah. All the
like
ways.
Pipes were like $20 or something. Like,
but I think that was the thing too. I was never a big weed smoker, but I loved all the paraphernalia and like the head shop stuff. And it always just seemed really reminded me of my older brother or something, or there was just a different time. I think there was something about the culture of it that always seemed so much more appealing than the actual being high.
Yeah.
Just like the big shirts and like, like it's kind of like the Grateful Dead, like all of the stuff, like all the shirts and the weird ephemera around it and the posters and the black dragons and the vans, VW vans, everything that seems cooler. Then you got to hear the music. You're like, that's okay. I guess,
the dragons and the gnomes and the hacky sacks,
but all that stuff seems fun. That's the fun part of it.
I feel like the 90s that the head shop became more of a place where other like non-smokers would go to. Like it became a place where you're like, oh, I could use some Tivas.
Oh, right. Yeah.
like you'd go and you'd buy some incense for your dorm room, or like you'd go in and you'd get some
a chain wallet.
Exactly. Well, they started selling more
sunglasses
non stuff. Yeah, totally. Just like, oh, grunge is in. Cool. We're going to also we're going to have some flannels, some
cool
and we're going to have, those weird, remember like the kind of knit, what was that? It was just like the vibe, 90s vibe. You'd have like a big hat. They'd be a big hat. They'd be like knit like to put your dreads under or whatever.
Kind of thing. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The white guys to put their dreads under.
Very Homer Palooza. Well, the other thing I saw that I liked, again, just in terms of ephemera sort of stuff, was like the hippie speedball. It was like the coffee cup that you could, have you ever heard the term hippie speedball? It was like you take a bowl you smoke weed and then drink coffee. Like at the same time, like going fast and slow at the same time. So then there was the coffee cup where like inside the handle of the coffee cup was a pipe. So you could like smoke weed out of the coffee cup and then drink your coffee at the same time.
I would love it.
And bake.
I would love it if maybe you put coffee in the bong as the bong water, and then you could really
caffeinated bong water.
Get it. I'm sure that was tempting. That's too good of an idea. We can't be the first
person to have ever thought of that. No, I would.
That's too good of an idea for not.
Yeah.
I don't even smoke weed. I might just see.
Just have to experiment with this. Like, okay, your wife comes downstairs like, okay, I have an idea. Hear me out. I had to buy a bong just to try this once.
Yeah. You'll never believe what I thought of today. Oh my God. Is this what summer break is going to be like?
This is it. This is your first year summer break.
2 months off.
I'm an inventor. It's going to be great. I'm going to scrape the paint off the side of the garage later. Hold on. I just got to fix this. First thing I need to do is get a bong with some espresso, maybe a little bit of sparkling water. It's going to be really refreshing.
Trust me. All I have to do is sell 100 of these things. It's so easy. It'll be so easy.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, last week's interview with Alex Ross Perry was fun and informative.
Totally.
I think this is the first director I've had on the show. This might be.
I think you're right.
The first film director. Film directors are interesting people. I'm sure you've met some in your life.
Yeah, I've met a couple. They're very. It's a very controlling job. It was I feel like all the people that I know that are directors and are successful to one degree or another, all are very good at being ordered, having order.
Yes. Sorry.
Like ordered,
they're
like
organized
and also are able to just like put their head down and know what they want and are okay, I need 40 people over there right now doing this thing, and I need you guys. You need to, that whole.
I like the director kind of the casual conversations you could have with directors where they're very friendly and they look you directly in the eyes, but they're thinking about like 100 other things.
They're going over a script in their head.
They're not there whatsoever, but they're talking to you like, yes, okay, and they're totally acting like they're right there with you. But but they're not there with you at all.
Maybe that's one of their the superpowers is the
dissociative processing,
multitasking.
Yes, I think so.
Don't worry, I have 4 movies happening right now. One's in pre-production, one's in post-production, and we're shooting one. And one is my passion project that I've been thinking about for 25 years.
But I think but it's like they always have to have that many things going on. But then they also just have to know that there's just downtime. There's just hours and hours of nothing happening while they're just waiting for something else to happen. So they have to have these like bullshit conversations. Then usually I'd be the person to have the bullshit conversation with. Like, hey, it's good to see you. There? Thanks for coming. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I got about 5 minutes. Hey, what's going on? How are things? Okay, yeah, it's good.
Wow, sounds amazing.
Oh, dude,
you sound busy.
Really good. Really good. Really good to see you. This is fantastic. I'm so glad I saw you. Okay, wow. I got to get back over here. Okay. Wait, was that nice? Was that a dick? I can't tell what happened there.
I don't think it matters. I think they're focused on the project, and like you're there, and you're there for. I've got a couple minutes, and it's good, and you move on.
It's over. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think I can't imagine. I really can't imagine directing a movie from beginning to end, from the writing process to the end, because even a small movie will take like 2 or 3 years.
Oh yeah,
like by the time it comes out. And by the time when you first start thinking about it,
oh yeah, I mean if you're under years. That seems more normal from the process. The thing I remember being a big film fan and reading interviews and hearing about filmmakers and this kind of like this like Alfred Hitchcock way of like you have the film in your head. You've already made the film in your head at least a dozen times before you actually shoot any film. But just that much processing of just like future thought, or just kind of having it all living in your brain, and then transferring that to storyboards, and then delegating that out to everybody in order to make all these things happen. There's like if you could watch like if I don't know if this really happens. That just sounds like definitely higher order organization than I have. I mean, we've already discussed our ADHD levels. I may do like one. I could see a scene, like, oh yeah, I could see how that scene would work, but I don't think I'd see the whole film and the whole. Just no. I like watching films so much. I would be like, but where's the surprise? Where's the twist? Where's the thing? If I knew it all in my head beforehand, it would be. I don't think I'd be the right kind of person for that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a very specific personality, and obviously not all directors work the same way, but there is a very specific personality to be able to go like, I've got a story to tell. It's going to take 4 years, but it's good. We're going to get this done. I feel like that is a crazy amount of drive and focus that I think most people just don't have.
Yeah. It also just seems like life isn't ever that ordered. Like, even if you had it all in your head, like, what good does that really do you? Because, first 30 seconds of shooting the film, like, oh wait, now it's all changed. The actor's different. We lost this location. Our budget got cut in half. It seems like, why would you have it all in your head? Like, it would just torture you. I guess you would need a loose, sort of framework for it, but you just have to be flexible.
Well, I know different people do it different ways. Like the Coen brothers shoot everything exactly shot for shot. They have every single scene written down, and they notoriously don't change anything if they can, and like it'll be like exactly perfect. I feel like Hitchcock was like that too. I've heard, but again, I'm completely also making this up from
maybe
my ADHD brain. But I know I've heard that the Coen brothers, for sure, because I've known a couple of people that worked on a couple of movies, and that it's very specific. Like they know exactly the shots. They know where the camera is going to be. They know the locations. They know like the camera movements, and there's not much that's put into those scenarios that can differ from that. But then there's also, I remember hearing an interview with Spike Jonze, and I want to say it was for Where the Wild Things Are, or it was at least an interview during that time that they were asking him like, yeah, so what, when you first see the rough cuts and stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, I think every time I'm like, what am I doing? This is garbage. Like, what did we do?
This is not right.
And then I go into a whole like existential, oh my God, we're never going to be able to get out of this. We spent so much money already. Like I'm never going to shoot another movie again. And like you go through, and I feel like in that interview, he said like, yeah, and that's just because everything in your head, you see it up on the screen and you go, oh, I was wrong. I was wrong about that thing. But then part of it is that's when you get these amazing editors, and you get these other amazing art directors and lighting people, and everything, and everybody comes together and like, oh no, the lighting is just wrong in that. Like maybe we reshoot it with them coming in the door from the other way, or, and then that's where I feel like that fun kind of creative problem solving comes into it. And I do feel like every time I've listened to directors, they're like, oh no, it was a completely different movie when we started than when we, like people get cut out. I mean, because you hear all the time like people getting cut out, like, oh yeah, I shot for 3 days and I didn't end up in the movie or whatever.
That's wild. I can't imagine. But it seemed like Alex had a pretty good sense of what the film was supposed to be. But I think it sounds like he was copying to he needed Robert, our guest from 2 weeks ago, to sort of, represent the fan, in that kind of like direct way, like what to make sure that there is enough, not fan service, but just, blatant, here's the fan perspective, the fan POV of it.
Yeah.
That is not
like it is a band that has
a
like
structure,
an arc, and they had an arc and all that stuff. And like, like, what would you say? Like appealing to those fans,
or at least just understanding,
to be like, no, this is a little bit of the timeline of the band, just so you can, I feel like it would also, I still haven't seen it, but that it would also hold the band's or hold the fans' attention a little bit if you are there to see more of a, because I know it was funny when he was like, if you think that quote you put at the very beginning, like if you think that this should be like a cookie cutter or whatever, you are not a real fan.
Yes, right.
You are wrong. You are 100% wrong. And it was like, I totally get that, because I know the band is like, yeah, no, that's stupid. I would never do that. But there's also fans that love that stuff that would be like, I would love a behind the music of just like 20 people talking about Pavement, because I don't know anything about all the other shit, you know? I know that they, and I feel like that's like the Bob Dylan fans who go to the concert and we're like, can you just please play the first 2 records? Like, I know you hate it, but I just like, it'll make me feel so good. And that doesn't make them wrong. You know what I mean? Just because Bob Dylan is just like, no, I'd rather gouge my eyes out and jump off a cliff than do that. And people are like, well, can you do that after you play the first 20 songs you wrote? Because I won't ever see you again anyway. So this is great.
That's, and I really paid only like $500 for these seats. So it'd be really cool.
And I want to feel like how I felt when I was a kid. I don't care about you.
Yeah.
You're just like a guy that sang these amazing songs. Yeah, and I do feel like
I'm the customer. Come on.
Yeah. Cause I would like that like behind the music kind of Pavement. I don't necessarily need the guys talking about their music, but having other people talk about it or whatever, like I would watch that. And I feel like, but I'm also not like a real Pavement fan from the diehard Pavement fan. I think we've talked about this before. I was definitely not smart enough when I was younger to understand at all what Pavement was about or doing. I heard the songs and went like, yeah, it kind of sounds like the Weird Eagles. Because the Eagles were really weird.
Wrong.
Yeah. And then
also a good band name.
The Weird Eagles.
Hi, we're the Weird Eagles.
Hi, we're the Weird. But I also grew up listening to a lot of Eagles, and then I was then
your point of view.
And at that point I had changed into listening to like Modest Mouse and hip hop and Ice Cube and whatever would have played at Lollapalooza basically. And so then I was like, I don't know.
Pavement paid Lollapalooza.
Well, other than Pavement, yeah. But I guess that's where I was, because I was at the college radio station and stuff too, and a lot of those guys were listening to like Yo La Tengo and Pavement, and it was all this kind of slow. It just felt chill, and I was not listening to chill music.
I see, yes.
And so I was like, I don't know, I don't get the chill. I never really got the chill vibe of the 90s, like the record store. What was that movie?
High Fidelity.
High Fidelity. And there's like all the like do 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 do, like that Pavement, like that part of it. I was like, this seems way too. I'm listening to a lot of Slayer right now, and like Desert Rock was getting really big, and so
you didn't get into the Beta Band. You weren't listening to the Beta Band.
No.
That's the joke in the movie. Like he's like, watch, I'm going to put on the Beta Band's first EP. I'm going to sell 4 of them right now.
But anyway. So then, and I think I've told you this before too, that I did not understand Pavement until I saw them play at the Hollywood Bowl when you guys opened up for them.
Yeah.
And I had seen Sonic Youth a couple times, and I'm way more on the Sonic Youth side of like, I would go hear weird, crazy guitars and noise and all of that. Like that's way more where my head was at. And then when I saw them play all those songs live, I was like, oh, right. They're like a chill, funny. I never got that it was funny.
Right.
And I was like, oh, these songs are like funny and they're chill and they're like smart guys. He's like a smart guy making music, and he's like, this is kind of funny. It's like these funny songs. I'm not taking this too seriously.
I mean, it's a unique needle to thread. I think I was saying in the episode too, just, that the band had their, requests or requirements, and the label had their requirements. They can't be this. We don't want this. We don't want it to be that. And a lot of like, restrictions on what it shouldn't be. But then what do you're just sort of left with a lot of negative zone, but what is it, as a filmmaker, as a creative person? Then it's like, okay, these are all the things it shouldn't be, but what should it be? And how do we make that? How do we fill in the space between the voids of what we're avoiding, the space between the things it can't be? What are we left with? And yeah, I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. And I think he approached it in a way that he probably could have, after interviewing him, it seems like he probably could have had any band. He could have just made up a band and made the same film about any kind of band. Like to him, it was this kind of process on fandom and nostalgia and sort of the whole process of making a film about a band. Like, what does a biopic even mean? Like he could have done this. He could have just made up, but if they didn't like what he made, he could have just changed it all out and cast it with actors.
Yeah.
And done the whole thing that way.
Well, and I liked how he said that he was thinking about it as if this band had kind of 5 different lives or whatever in the past, or they had done all these different projects and he was just taking footage from these different projects and making, but then he actually had to create the 5 projects first to take the footage from. And I thought that was a really interesting way to think about it, because it does open you up. You're like, yeah, we're making like 5 different little films, and then we're actually just going to pull from those and create a documentary that is real-ish, somewhat real.
Yeah.
Based on reality.
But I like even his sense of reality too, where it's like, I think I used to as like the final quote of the episode, where it was like, we had to create a reality where Pavement is the most influential band in the world, most important, most influential band in the world. And it's funny. It hits my ears funny, because as a fan, I'm like, why is that not true? Like, what do you mean? Like, how is that? Like, you have to create that world. But I think in the sense that, like, well, it's not an opinion, that it's a fact, that it has to be this kind of thing. And I thought more about that afterwards, and I had to think about it and kind of be like, what an interesting thought experiment for him as a filmmaker, to try to figure out how to lionize this band, or give a shit enough about this band to commit all this time, this years of work to make this documentary. And then maybe personally, he doesn't really even care that much. But it's not really that they're not that band for him, but he had to convince himself of that reality, that this band matters to people. Like, totally. And I thought that would be hard to do.
That was interesting too, how he said, like, it's not like they're the most important band in the world for everyone, but for Pavement fans, they are.
Yeah.
Like, and they're that kind of band. Like, when you're a fan of the band, they're your favorite band.
Right.
Because you either probably love or could care less about Pavement, and there's not a lot of in between space, because they're so specific. They're not like, they don't really fit into a category of a certain type of music, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm
like,
just wondering,
it's
like, if
Pavement,
if you're like, the case probably could be made that Limp Bizkit was a more popular and more influential band,
more popular. I bet Pavement's more influential than Limp Bizkit.
I don't know. Right? I mean,
just like
in terms of bands that want to sound like that band.
Yeah, maybe they were really
clones out there, probably.
I mean, they were at the time. I don't think that the staying power was necessarily as big. I would say there's probably more new bands now trying to take inspiration from Pavement than Limp Bizkit, maybe. Although Limp Bizkit is on like a tear right now. They're like selling out stadiums and stuff.
See? So. Yeah. But I just would try to imagine, like, okay, well, he could have done a documentary about Limp Bizkit, but he probably wouldn't have done it in the same way. You know what I mean? Or like, but just the thought of that too, like, oh God, no, I would never want like that. That's a reality where the band's more popular and more influential, but it's not the reality that I would want to live in or watch a movie about for 2 hours.
No.
I mean, it'd be.
And I think it's interesting because there's not very much information out there, or like that Pavement isn't one of those bands that were pushing to become famous or like as people, like they definitely pushing their music to be like, we want this music to be popular and heard, and we want to play huge shows and all of that stuff on the art side of it. But they're not like, whoa, we need to do multiple documentaries, and we need to get our faces out there and get on commercials, and
tabloids,
we should be sponsored by Mercedes, and whatever. Get in a car with Matthew McConaughey and talk about Lincoln, how great a Lincoln is. Although that would be funny. It would be great. Yeah, it would be great if all of a sudden Stephen Malkmus was just a really big commercial guy. It's like, you know what? I want to push like orange soda.
I really feel Fanta it speaks to the generation.
It's kind of my thing.
It's a new thing.
You know, when I'm on tour, singing these crazy lyrics,
they could take all their TikTok,
sugared up, and make up some word salad.
You ever feel like high fructose corn syrup is the thing you need to start your day? I'm Steve Malkmus, and I recommend diabetes.
I just wrote a new song for you. Could you imagine that? It just became like the new Coca-Cola. How like that'd be like the number one ways. He's like, you know what? I don't want fans anymore. License that to Coke. We're done.
The end.
I give up.
But I like also, yeah, just in talking about like filmmakers, we were talking a little bit before, just when we were getting the mics going, that we should have some kind of like summer series of like film.
Oh, yeah.
You know, maybe we turn these hyphenates into a movie podcast, you know, for the summer season.
Yeah.
Summer, but then we, you know, brought maybe the idea of the sci-fi films or like even these, because oftentimes when we're getting ready to record, I try to think of the most cliche bad 90s hackerisms. I can text you, like I'm plugged into the mainframe.
Yes.
I'm booting it up. So maybe we could come up with a series of films we could review as part of these, the halftime series for the summer that resolve around 90s internet paranoia.
Yeah, right when the internet was coming, like any of those hacker movies, I think. What's the other one? Jacob's Ladder?
Oh no, that's not a yes.
What was that?
That's in the 90s. That's Tim Robbins.
What was that one about?
Living the last like 10 seconds of his life as he's dying. The whole film takes place in those 10 seconds of his life as he dies. Yeah.
Right. I was thinking that was an internet one.
90s internet paranoia.
Yeah, multiple Keanu. Like Keanu was really in.
Oh yeah, like Johnny Mnemonic. Right? Did you ever see this?
Johnny
one?
Mnemonic.
That's great. Where his head is a hard drive. Got to write that one down.
Yeah. Oh my god. Should we end with the Matrix?
Is the Matrix kind of the last title of that? I feel like the Matrix. It comes out in 99. It's the end of it.
The Matrix is the one that I feel like it became real. Like before that, there were these little goofy, like, oh, we're going to hack into the computer system. What's the old one in the 80s where the little kid hacks into the defense and like gets like Russian?
War Games?
War Games.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Is that the first one?
War Games could be good. Yeah.
Is that the first like internet, like we're logging into the Defense Department?
I'm in. Yeah, sure. That sounds great.
I'm trying to think of one that would have been before that. I feel like that was that was getting us all ready for the internet. Because, you know, Hollywood is run by the CIA.
Grooming. It was grooming. Yeah. For like, are you guys ready?
This is all CIA
Sneakers
money.
Is kind of like the old, I mean, it's in the 90s, but it's like the old school people. It's got, you know, your Robert Redford, Dan Aykroyd, Sidney Poitier.
Oh, wow.
Remember this one?
Okay.
This is pretty good.
This one, Lila would love this too, because she's
okay. Good. We can get our kids in on this one
movies.
Too. Yeah, The Net, Sneakers, Hackers with Angelina Jolie.
Of course, Hackers.
Which I don't think I've ever seen. There's definitely a lot of like blind spots in me for this. Johnny Mnemonic, of course, is great. That's the one where Dolph Lundgren is like a Jesus character, and there's a intelligent dolphin in a fish tank that I think Ice-T controls. You don't remember this in Johnny Mnemonic? This is a great one. Okay. We got Hackers.
I mean, the best thing about this is that I do not remember movies at all. I love watching movies.
That's all I do.
Although now I fall asleep a lot. Yeah. But I do love watching movies, but I'll watch a movie and at the end it'll be great. And by the next day I'll forget the whole, the plot I'll forget, but I remember the visuals. I'm like, okay, tell me, where were they? What was the scene?
Ooh, so NetForce. NetForce sounds good. The internet becomes the world's central nervous system. NetForce FBI has created an elite force fighting crime on the internet. The owner of all the dominating software company is suspected of trying to gain total access and control. Wait, starring Scott Bakula.
Is this happening right now?
NetForce, yeah. This is
except for the FBI's the good guys in that one, and really you're like, no, the FBI will also be on the side of the internet.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know.
It's called Palantir.
Oh my god. Okay.
Two on the nose.
Virtuosity. I never saw this one. Did you ever see Virtuosity? No. Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. Okay, it's going on there. I love Denzel Washington.
I do too. He's the best.
The Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe are also an American Gangster together. Yeah. Great movie. I don't know. I've never seen Virtuosity. When a virtual reality simulation created using the personalities of multiple serial killers manages to escape into the real world, an ex-cop is tasked with stopping its reign of terror.
Wow. How long do you think before there's a movie about a Chat GPT president? I've been thinking about this a lot lately.
I've
been thinking that we really aren't going to meet
Chat G President T. So GP, president starts with a P and ends with a T. So
President.
you have to put the resident in like or like in what are those called? Not exclamation points. In quotations or
I like that
parentheses.
Resident, and then you have to do a play on resident. Are they a resident?
GP resident. That Chat GP resident. There we go.
They are not a resident of the White House, or are they?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how. I don't even know.
It would be that hard to have a digital president, honestly. They kind of all saying the same thing, and they're positive or negative, depending on what you think. And you just put it in there. What would Chat GPT do now that?
I just got corrected. Instead of Chat G President, it's that G President. That G President. That's pretty good. Okay, I'm writing that down. Let's go on the list. Okay, so I think we're good. Digital I think we can do War Games.
Okay.
For next week. And then we hit Johnny Mnemonic. The Net, or no, Sneakers probably has to go next. Okay. Just because based on the 80s we're coming out of. And then Johnny Mnemonic, The Net, Hackers, Existenz. Did you ever see Existenz?
No, I have never even heard of it.
Well, it's got a lowercase e and then an uppercase X and then an uppercase Z at the end.
Oh, too. Like existence.
Existence, yeah. Okay. But it's Existenz.
Existence.
The game designer on the run from an assassin must play her latest virtual reality creation with a marketing trainee to determine if the game has been damaged.
Uh-oh.
By David Cronenberg. So, they already got starring Jude Law, Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Wow. All right.
There's another one.
And we're not doing any video. We're not doing like Tron or anything because that's more like.
I don't know. Action. Yeah, maybe are these two video games?
More like an action. I want thriller.
Yeah.
I feel like thriller is. I want to feel scared that this is actually happening in real life right now. Those are the type of movies I want.
Yeah, I take it you've not seen the latest Mission Impossible movie then. I mean, I guess this is the reality.
Oh, is that where we should end this? Is it? I have not seen the new Mission Impossible.
Okay. Yes, I think you should watch Mission Impossible Final Reckoning without ever having seen the one before it or anything else.
Okay. I think I saw the first 3. How many Mission Impossibles have there been? Is this one 6 or something?
9, maybe 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. Yeah, there's a lot. Well, this looks like a pretty good thing. Okay, so we got War Games, Sneakers, Johnny Mnemonic, The Net, Hackers, Existenz, Net Force. Oh yeah, Net Force was that's the Scott Bakula one. That's got to be great.
Oh, that sounds like America. What's the one that they did?
Space Force.
No, the movie that. Yeah. Move on.
Okay. What about Disclosure? This is the other one I was thinking of. This stars Michael Douglas and Demi Moore.
Okay.
Directed by Barry Levinson. A computer specialist is sued for sexual harassment by a former lover turned boss who initiated the act forcefully, which threatens both his career and his personal life. Oh, they don't even tell you. The whole thing's about that. Like he created like a file sharing thing on his computer. It's from 1994. And it's like she wants to get the files out of his computer. So she is the aggressor. It's almost like, can women be sexual harassers?
Okay.
So I don't know. Might be too sticky with too many other things there, but there is a huge like the net. Like, oh wait, but she's gonna access my files on my computer. Like,
how did she get in there?
That. Yeah, it's a lot of that kind of stuff.
You're hooked into the network. Which network? We don't know.
The Killer Net. Okay, this is a TV miniseries. Students get involved in a violent internet based game around the same time as a series of murders. Is there a connection? ? Did you ever see the Dungeons and Dragons movie with Tom Hanks?
No. Was this just a couple years ago?
No, it should be though. No, this is one of his first
original
movies.
No way. I did not.
What was it called?
I thought there was a Dungeons and Dragons.
There was a Satanic Panic thing. Dungeons. You remember that from the 80s?
Yeah, I remember the Satanic Panic.
Oh, Mazes and Monsters. This is where Tom Hanks loses his mind in Mazes and Monsters. It's like he's like playing a game like Dungeons and Dragons, and he's like probably 25, but he looks 16. It's from 1982.
No, I do not know this movie. That is old for Tom Hanks.
That's 1982. It was early. Yeah. The failed
7.
satanic panic era film about the dangers of losing contact with reality by playing Dungeons and Dragons using Tom Hanks as the vehicle.
Wow. Maybe that's an extra.
Maybe that's the bonus feature. Yeah, maybe we got to start a Patreon. Just the Tom Hanks
on the Patreon.
The Tom Hanks.
Sign up for our Patreon to hear us talk about Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks
playing Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe we can get Tom on and play Dungeons and Dragons live. He could be the dungeon master.
I'm sure he's very busy these days. We're using typewriters and fixing up old typewriters. You know about the podcast that was all about when Tom Hanks told an actor that he had dead eyes and he fired him, like he didn't hire him in the audition. And so the actor created an entire podcast just about his eyes. Were his eyes really dead? Like Tom Hanks said, and at the end he gets Tom Hanks on. It's an amazing two season. It's
2 seasons.
2 seasons of this great story. Connor Ratliff is the protagonist. It was his eyes that were determined to be dead, and he's an incredible New York based improviser. And yeah, he does the George Lucas talk show, which is a great live show. But
did he ever
Dead
become like?
Fantastic.
Did he ever become like a big actor?
Well, that's part of the question.
Oh wow!
Right?
Okay,
I'll listen to find out. Yeah, but he does get Tom Hanks on at the end. I'll give that away. Tom Hanks does come on, and Tom Hanks, cops to it and kind of just says, I'll spoil it for you, I guess a little bit, but he goes, yeah, well, he's making Band of Brothers at the time, that long running show, and he's like, I see a lot of actors, I don't remember saying that to you, but it could have been said, and I'm sorry, but I was making him a film. Yeah. I'm Tom Hanks. Yeah. What do you want from me? I am America's nicest guy, but I got to make those kinds of decisions get made. He's like, for years I was I've always been the actor. But I've made a terrible thing said about me, so I apologize. I probably shouldn't have gotten back to you. If I did say that, your agent shouldn't have called you and told you that I said that.
That's what I said. Yeah. It's really your agent's fault.
But he also was like, hey, that's the biz. What do you want? What do you want to do?
Liven up your eyes a little bit, buddy.
Yeah, come on.
Maybe open them up. Smile a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. Fun. Really okay, so the summer. What are we calling it? What's our title for this ongoing? Oh, wow. Series, the summer sci-fi
extravaganza. That's a little bit on the nose. Let's see. Summer sci-fi summer. I mean, it could just be
by my sci-fi con.
Sci-fi con.
That's a Simpsons joke. Buy my sci-fi con, the bi-monthly science fiction comic con. Buy my sci-fi con. Comic con. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll come up with it. We'll call it like, this is all real now. This is the fucking dystopian garbage world we live in.
Perfect. This is all real.
Yeah. Yeah. How crazy. We'll see if Gavin Newsom goes to war with Trump. Seems like it's possible. It's a possibility.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I watched a couple other things and this guy's like, yeah, they also might be friends. I don't know.
Well, that was
Gavin Newsom's dad was like the big, huge lawyer for a bunch of conservatives. I don't know. It was just like whatever.
I saw Shan sent me a great, like quick video of somebody in their car talking. They're like, as Californians, I'll break down how we feel about Gavin Newsom. Like, we don't like him. He's not really our guy. However, what we do like about him is that he hates conservatives, and he's like the rich. He's like the rich kid bully, kind of rich jock bully kid. And if he's on your side, you want that.
And he does want to be president, so you got to say that, like, well, at least he wants to be president, I guess, so he can try to fight with Trump.
Yeah, this could be good for his career. To have a battle,
as
have some kind of Civil War battleground hotspot in Paramount, California.
Yeah. As long as we have him on our side for a little while until he becomes president, just does worse things. I don't know. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think this whole idea of just pushing out the idea, the fact that California gives $80 billion more to the federal government than it takes is like even I was just,
there's some pressure that could be applied there using that. Just California's GDP is like the 5th out of all countries. Yeah, I mean, we're
just be like, okay, so so every time you pull federal funding, we are going to use our tax money that we would usually send to the federal government to do that. So like you're going to not fund
the difference. Yeah.
You're not going to fund our public schools. Great. $20 billion or whatever. Great. We're just going to take $20 billion of state funding and fund it. And then that $20 billion doesn't go to the federal government anymore. Fine. That's good. I feel like that is the only way that it could be dealt with on that level to where even conservatives would go, well, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know.
Well, I kind of got you there. Hey,
I mean, because even, something popped up about Texas and they were talking about that whole like donor states or whatever. And they're like, yeah, you'd think Texas would be a donor state because it has the most oil of any state. And it's all, it's
taxes there,
doing all this stuff. And it was like, no, they actually take $5 billion a year more than they give to the federal government. So like you see all of these red states are completely dependent. All these like states' rights states are completely dependent on the federal government, which is, of course, I mean, come on. This is how people act. Like conservatives talk about freedom, but they're the worst about freedom. They take everything they can. Like the Trump talks about, Second Amendment rights and all that. And then the first thing that he said when they were going to come in and start arresting people, he's like, well, first we got to take their guns first. It's like, okay. I mean, which way is it? I don't know. It's like one way or the other. Or all the Second Amendment people who are like, when the government comes to take your stuff, we're going to be defending it. And I'm like, no, you're not. So stop saying that, because you're not. You're going to go out and shoot police officers? Like, really? No, you're not. You just say you like guns. It's fine. Just say, I want a gun collection because it makes me feel like a big man to own guns. Or I really like the way they look, the silvery, shiny things. They makes me feel tough or whatever. But stop saying that you're going to try to take over the government with your 45 AK-47s in your basement and your new rims that you got on your truck or whatever. And your Don't Tread on Me flag.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Well,
goofballs.
Well, I switching gears a little bit. I did see something on Instagram on the reels there where it was saying like one of the greatest like technological leaps in our recent history was like if you were 40 years old in 1920, like just the amount of time, the amount of progress, from when you were born. Like your father would have fought in the Civil War, and if you lived into your whatever 80s, you would have seen man's first flight to then airplanes being used to drop bombs on people to then someone landing on the moon.
Yeah, right.
This like just the insanity, or electricity not existing or not being rolled out,
plumbing,
indoor plumbing, electricity, automobiles, radio, handheld radios. Just the insanity of the technological boom from, the end of the 1800s till, 1960, 1970, the end of the 1960s. Just what an insane, like human lifespan that would be, just in terms of how crazy things were going to be in your lifetime, and how many, 2 world wars, just technology, mass production, manufacturing. And I guess it just got me thinking too in this time, it's like, we don't really know what's around the corner. You know what I mean? It's always this thing of like, this is the worst president so far. This is when it seems like this is the worst time. It's like, this is the worst thing so far.
Yeah.
Again, another Simpsons joke. But it's like, I don't know. You just think about it. It's like, okay, well, this is all crazy. This is all, we've gone from being unprecedented to just, what is this? This is obviously something completely different. This is the beginning of a different reality, different chapter in the American reality, or the world reality, of a fascist American dictatorship.
Yeah, totally. And it really is like thinking about the connection. And again, we're doing a podcast.
Sure.
So it's like being connected digitally to everybody is like a blessing in many ways if it's used correctly. But it also, when you're seeing these like, well, yeah, but then the company could just go we're going to shut your phone off. And then you go, wait, what? You can do that? Oh yeah, you signed the thing that said if you're using your phone incorrectly, we just shut it off. Or if you bring it with you anywhere, we'll just track you.
We'll know where you're at.
Like we know where we know where you've gone. And then you go, oh right, this is giving up a lot of privacy slowly over the years, and now those people that have all that.
But in the reality or in the world where, well, who cares? Like, what do I mean? Privacy. It's like,
that's what I mean.
If I drive off road or I get in an accident, I want someone to know where I'm at. I'm sharing my location. But 100%. The second then that reality paradigm shifts, so we're like, we want to know where you are. You can't hide from us. You know. And then you become on that hot seat. Like, were you recently at this location? Everybody that was recently at this location is now wanted as a criminal for being at that location
during that time.
Yeah, you're like, what do you mean? I just drove by there. I don't have anything, but it doesn't matter. We caught your cell phone pinged off of something.
Tell it to El Salvador, dummy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that that's even the thing. Like the good thing about electric cars is the good, like not using gas. The bad thing is that they can just shut your car off from remotely. Yeah. I mean, if you're like, oh, you're driving here, actually, I'm going to have your car drive you to the police station and lock the doors. And that's actually a reality, which is just like, yeah, no.
Those Waymo cars didn't do too well during the protests this last weekend. Those seemed to be a number one target. Yeah,
that seemed to also be a bit of a setup, because why would you, as a company, wouldn't you just be like, oh, there's protests, let's maybe have our Waymo cars not there? Like, why would you want your Waymo cars in the middle of a protest?
It was our Waymo's first protest. They didn't have a protocol for that yet.
They're like, guys, we're here as support. Yes,
would anybody like a ride?
It is true that our cars have 48 cameras on them taking photos and videos of all time. But why would that be weird?
Maybe they just need to arm. Maybe this is just the precedent. They need to arm the Waymos. They need to put some kind of flamethrower and rocket launcher attachment to them, and they could be deployed.
Yeah, like those little robot bomb dispersal things that they ended up putting a bomb on and blowing that guy up with.
Yeah, something like that.
Those good old days. Those good old days when it's just simple.
Sure,
just blowing up people that haven't been convicted yet.
Is this the Dorner, the guy, the cop killer guy that came up that hid in the mountains?
Was that Dorner? It might